Yeah, I do rely on the trains in life. You know, I haven't got a car, and so yeah, if the electric went, I'd have to cycle there, and it's about 30 miles away.
Yeah, it's a long journey.
And
Might stay overnight. Have to do like a cycle there and stay overnight and come back the next day.
yeah, but I don't think I'd. It just helps. I just feel trains and electric just helps me get to places faster and makes the day a lot more enjoyable. If you see what I mean. If I did it, I wouldn't do it. I don't think in a day if I went on my bike and back.
No, not a day.
So I think electric does make travel a little bit faster, doesn't it?
From here to your mum's is probably about what, 4 or 5 hours cycle.
Yeah, and then I'd have to rely on my bike not to sort of the chain not to go or something,
Or
the
get
tyres,
a puncture or something.
whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And then I've got to rely on myself to get there.
Yeah, having the energy and the capability.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting on now.
Yeah.
Only 60, I think. You know, coming
Yeah.
up to it anyway.
Mm.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you don't really sort of think about reliability, do you? How important all is, really.
But when you sit down and really think about it and break it down, you realise that we all rely on so many other factors in life in order for our lives to flourish and etc. We're all relying upon each other in lots of different ways, you know.
Yeah.
People are relying on the firemen. People are relying on, you know what I mean, doctors and nurses to save people's lives when they come into the hospital. You know, someone gets, God forbid, gets shot or something, let's say, or, you know, they're hoping to get saved. They're hoping there's going to be some miraculous surgeon that comes in and performs a wonderful surgery and manages to save the person's life and stitch them up and, you know, send them off on their road to recovery instead of on their road to the grave.
Right, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
road to the grave. So
yeah.
We are heavily reliant on other people, you know, for our food. Like we go to supermarkets every day. Simple as that. We go in there and we rely on these people to provide our food, these supermarkets, because that's what they're there to do. That's what they've chosen to become a conglomerate of a food production company. So we, so yeah, like we go to the bank, we rely on the bank to give us the money in which the money that we've got in there. We rely on them to give it, you know, to give it to us because it's our money.
That's right. Yeah.
If you see what I mean.
So when you go and put your card in the machine, you rely on it to be quite accurate, don't you?
And to work. Well, I was going to say, only twice, I think only 2 times in my life I've had problems with an ATM machine. Actually, no, 3 times, but one of the times it worked in my favour. And that was in the Caribbean. But I won't talk about that because, you know, and that worked in my favour that time. So you can kind of guess what happened. If you get my drift. But 2 times. One time my car got one time I was about to take out some money. It was a couple of years ago, and my wife needed some money for something to do with the car, and it was close around Christmas time. So a lot of stuff was closed in that, and I went to the ATM next to Tesco's, small Tesco's, and it looked like it was working fine. There wasn't anything to say that there was anything wrong with it. As soon as I put my card in, swallowed my card, and obviously everything's closed, banks are closed, can't get a card for like stuck, had no card. Obviously she still had a card, you know what I mean, and you know, for her account and whatever else, but she needed me essentially, you know, I couldn't do online banking either, because, you know, I didn't have online.
I think one time happened to me when my children were a bit younger and I was married and went out for the day on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get a train to somewhere, I can't remember properly where, you know, long time back. Going back 20 years ago I am.
Yeah.
And anyway, went to the bank, and because we only had, I can't remember what it was, but I think all the banks were down because of a power cut.
Oh, okay.
So I was buggered, you know, and I had to go back home. We could go and visit and all this, you know, and it just...
disappointing.
Well, yeah, you know, because we all got ready, and I know that we were going out somewhere, you know, somewhere special, to meet family or something.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen, you know, and it's just a bit disappointment when you, like I say, we rely on the banks big time, and electricity big time. Yeah, I don't know how to live without it in a funny way.
No, that's what I'm saying, we become so used to having it.
Have cool baths, I think.
Yeah, imagine today like having to always, you know, like I
Freezing
said,
cool
no
baths.
hot water, no electric to heat your water. And if you're not lucky enough to be somewhere where gets quite hot and quite warm, so you got you know, some people in some hot countries and stuff, you can have like solar panels, and that would generally provide enough electricity for you to heat your water throughout the day and to do other things because it's that hot throughout the day. If you see what I mean. But in some countries you can have solar panels, but you don't always get the sun. You know, or the intensity of the sun that you need in order to generate a certain amount of, you know. So, yeah.
And some life support machines, all electricity.
Well, it's like even back in the day, people used to fill up the bathtub, but they used to put it by the fire, didn't they? A lot of people, I remember like a lot of the people that, I mean, because obviously I've worked in the healthcare industry for a long period of time now, and a lot of the people that I've encountered are predominantly older people. And a lot of them have told me over time, you know, every time I've ever had a conversation with any of these people, that, you know, some of their life story and stuff, a lot of them would always say, you know, we used to have cold baths by the fire though, you know, because obviously it was so cold, you know, they needed, you know, try to keep you warm, that, you know, you had, you know, it was close to the fire, they tried to keep you, you know, semi-warm.
That's what I think. Well, I think like if you go back in time, like 500 years ago, how did they keep themselves clean?
Yeah.
So we didn't have electric, or didn't really have cool fires back then, I don't think. You know? So I think people used to maybe bath in the rivers, maybe, I don't know.
A lot of people you just used to wash though, mate, if you know what I mean. You had a lot of people that would literally, back then when it's, you know, they would literally
just wash themselves,
get a flannel and just like wash under their arms, their face, down below, you know, the important bits, if you see what I mean, like, you know, all the important places, if you see what I mean. And that was it. You had like back in the day, you know. But like, yeah.
But like today in this modern world, nearly everybody, you know, I've got a bath. Nearly every person's got a bath, I feel, every household.
Yeah.
And what a luxury it is. And I think, well, you know, I appreciate that we've got this today.
Yeah.
Hot water,
yeah.
hot bath, what a luxury, I feel.
Yeah. Definitely.
Rely on plumbers.
Yeah.
We just rely on so much.
We rely on every function of society, essentially. It's like we were talking about last time, even if you go to a restaurant, just being hypothetical of course, but you go to a restaurant and you go for a meal, you're expecting someone to cook your food, you're expecting someone to serve you food, you're expecting a certain service, because that's what they're providing. It goes back to this whole supermarket thing like we were talking about just now, you know. Reliability, you know.
People pay for it, don't they?
That's what I'm saying, exactly. So if you're paying for a service, you're essentially paying for people to be reliable.
To give you a really nice tasty meal that you won't forget.
Yeah, that's going to be memorable, you know. And the same thing goes for you if you're going to go to a supermarket. You're paying them for a service to provide a certain quality of food and a certain variety, so you've got options to, you know.
And the service.
And the service is important, you know. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And you rely on it to be cooked properly. Rely on it not to be off or poisoned.
Yeah, someone to be,
know,
yeah.
And so on.
Yeah. I
mean, reliability is basically life itself almost, isn't it? You know, it's like I say, if we woke up tomorrow and everybody lost reliability, I think, wow, that would be sleeping or just useless people. Reliability makes you strong, I think, as well, you know, it makes you a person.
Yeah.
It's like if I went to see my mum and she wasn't very reliable anymore. It'd be upsetting, I feel.
Yeah.
And some people have to give up their reliability because they're ill.
Yeah, true, yeah. You have to then
they might get sick in bed.
Become fully dependent on other people.
That's right. You can't, I mean, like, I feel like reliability is really, really looking after yourself as well, in a big way.
For someone like me.
For everyone else to witness you, you know, sort of like, so you can help other people the next day, whatever.
Well, I was going to say, I've looked after people in their end of life. numerous times over the 10 years that I've been working in the healthcare industry, in various different roles. I've had different roles in the healthcare industry, and yeah, I've looked after people that in their last days.
I've worked in all people's homes.
In their last days, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I've worked in people's homes before. All people's homes. Doing removals really. Sometimes I just had to go in there and do a little bit of work for someone, because they were moving into the home, and they took a suitcase and a few things, because they're sort of giving up their house to move into one of these all people's homes or something. Or sometimes I would have to sort of maybe move them into a different room from the restroom because they want to move downstairs. It's a bit easier for them because someone's just died downstairs, so they want their room, if you see what I mean. So anyway, I went in there, and saw these pills there in the kitchens, where they get Monday to Friday and all this, It's like everyone's got pills, and they're like on drugs, all these old people.
A lot of them, mate.
But anyway, I never really sort of experienced in the way you did, where they're relying on you, aren't they?
That's what I'm saying. Me and my colleagues to look after them in their last days, essentially, where they're unable to do pretty much anything, where you're essentially, not to go into too much detail, but it is obviously when you're on your last days, and you have, sometimes people here in the UK, let's say for example, they sometimes put people on a syringe driver, so just to keep them comfortable. Essentially, it's essentially like a cannula, essentially, that goes in, to release pain medication to keep them comfortable. If you see what I mean, in their last days. So let's say they got, God forbid, they got an illness or disease that's about to take their life, just to keep them comfortable. And I've been in that situation quite a few times, and it's sad, but at the same time, there's something very peaceful about it as well. You know that you've essentially looked after someone until they've, that was their final moments. You were. You're not always present, because sometimes I might be looking after them for the last couple of weeks of their life, and then one of the days that I might be off, let's say for example, I might come back to work and someone's XYZ passed away yesterday. That's sad, but I still contributed to them,
I mean, how many people have you got, members of staff,
what?
In your place,
Altogether?
Well, yeah.
I'd say probably about 60, maybe.
60, quite a lot then, really.
Yeah.
But that's working night and day, isn't it?
No,
got different shifts?
not everyone works night and day. Obviously, you got the different, people, people that got carers, you got people that do medication, you got people,
Quite a big organisation, really, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like probably like the people that actually sort of just, spend time with the patients and all that. But like if one of them, say there's 10 of them, just sort of like people just spending time with them, giving them medication, whatever. One of them doesn't turn up for work, say, and that means that those 9, say there's 2 that didn't turn up for work, so 8's got a bit more stress and they can't spend so much time, you see, and that's why we rely on each other, really, to make the world better.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So I think it would be a beautiful world if we were all absolutely reliable.
Well, that's
happy. I think like reliability is being happy in a funny way. I can't explain it.
Yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. There's no I in team, as they say.
I mean, I think like before the invention of clocks and things, I think it would probably be a bit more difficult to be more reliable. Clocks.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure, yeah.
Clocks have helped us sort of like...
Yeah, tremendously.
I mean, you were talking about us being energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you think like cats, they're alive, they've got eyes, they can see, they can smell.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Do you think they're an energy?
Yeah, of course. Anything that's alive and breathing, mate, and living, it's got an energy. So it's consciousness. That's all it is. It's consciousness. Anything that's alive has consciousness. No one can debate that, if you see what I mean. Anything that's alive has consciousness. That's just as simple as that. It's energy.
What do we rely on most, do you think? because I think it's oxygen.
Yeah, I think we rely on the sun.
Sun's a good one, yeah.
More
I think we were right.
The sun. I think we rely on the sun more than anything else.
I think you're right.
In the world that we live in, I think the sun.
I think
that's why ancient civilizations for so many thousands of years and stuff have worshipped the sun and stuff. If you see what I mean, that's where
right.
all this stuff comes from, because they didn't see it. Well, they didn't see it as a god, but they understood that the sun was the all-sustaining thing of life. If you see what I mean.
Well, you think like every tree, really, or flower, yeah, they rely on the sun.
On the sun to produce oxygen.
Every flower.
Yeah.
So I think everything relies on the sun, doesn't it?
The sun is the most essential component. That's why even sometimes you get people talking about the sun and, like, you know, it's a deep conversation, which is I won't really go into too much to now. But like I said earlier, that's why a lot of the ancient people and stuff used to, you know,
definitely
worship the sun and stuff.
I think it gives you not just one thing. I think it gives you several things. It gives us our eyesight for one.
Yeah.
Our vision.
And not only that, but the sun is good for us in general anyway as human beings. You know, because the sun essentially is electromagnetic energy. You know, and we are electrical beings, so that's why they always say people, you get vitamin D and all these different other vitamins and stuff like this that you can get from being in the sun for long periods of time. And I think I've spoken about it briefly before as well. You can't. There's other vitamins and stuff too that you can get from the sun, but it's at different points throughout the day, if you see what I mean. So early in the morning, if you're one of these people who's an early riser, and you live somewhere that you get a lot of sun and it's quite warm or whatever, from early in the morning, being out in the sun, you can get a variety of different vitamins. You know, that's why the word says amin, if you see what I mean, because the vitamin, essentially, the first part of vitamin is vit, which is vitality, short for vitality, and then amin or amen Ra, the Egyptian god, like you were looking up about early things you're looking up about earlier, Amen Ra, that was a reference to the sun, if you see what I mean.
No, I do believe.
So vitamin is basically vitality of the sun. Does that make sense? That's what that word means, vitamin. Vitamin comes from amen, essentially, before, so it means vitality of the sun. So you can get numerous benefits from the sun, not only vitamin D, if you see what I mean.
Well, I've always loved the sun since a little boy, whatever, and I think, well, I just feel like even our sight, the sun comes up, it lights up all the trees and the flowers, whatever, and there you go. And when it goes down, we can't see it. But like the moon, when the sun, the sun reflects the light onto the moon, and apparently the photogenic whatever goes onto the plants, so they're still seeing the light so the moon's working, giving light to the flowers during the night time too, and energy as well through the moon, because the sun's reflecting it like a mirror. You with me? Onto the plants, So some flowers actually bloom full, when it's full moon. Certain flowers, I can't remember what they're called. They're quite tropical, you know what I mean? But they only behave not with the sun so much, but with the moon.
Yeah, affected by the moon more.
Well, yeah, it's quite interesting, really.
But as we know too, the moon affects the water, affects the tides, if you see what I mean.
I think like the sun, the moon.
And the moon also has an effect on people in general.
Yeah.
And especially
weathers do as well.
Yeah. And the moon also has an effect apparently too on the female menstrual cycle as well. So that's quite interesting,
animals behave a lot with full moons and moon cycles as well. Like I say, the moon, the sun and the earth, they rely on each other big time.
Working coordination.
Well, it's perfect, really. I think. I think how incredible! What a miracle! Wow. Well, I'm here to witness it in a funny way, I'm lucky here to witness it.
What a time to be alive!
Yeah.
Give thanks.
Very lucky to witness it.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we rely on. That's what we rely on as human beings probably the most. Well, you know, a higher power first, of course.
And water.
And water.
That's another thing we all rely on.
You know, it's like.
But I would say that. I would have said oxygen, okay?
Yeah.
The air we breathe, but then you said the sun. I thought, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You put me right then.
Because the sun is what, you know.
Yeah.
But
wow, it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm relying on it to come up tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If it doesn't, I'm going to be most upset.
If there's no more sun, everything would die, and eventually human beings and everything else would die out. Eventually.
I think everything would die and cry.
It might not. It might take a certain period of time for it to happen, for everything eventually to die off and everything. But it would happen. Whether it took a few thousand years, eventually it would just happen. There would be no more anything. Because the sun.
I think it would take a few days.
The sun. Not that. No, it would take longer than that. Because people could survive. You know what I mean, for a certain amount of time. You know.
I don't think so. It'd really get cold, Josh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But
it get really freezing.
True.
It gets. I mean, I think the coldest temperature ever on Earth is something like -52. That was in Canada.
Wow.
But I don't know. You know, I googled that and actually it could have been something in the Arctic actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, it was -52. But I might be wrong. We could have been a little bit colder than that. Yeah. But I know that. I don't know what the coldest possible temperature is. That is a question to ask. You know, what's the coldest possible? I mean, like the space up there. Yeah. Like if you travel towards the sun, obviously the rocket will start getting warmer.
Yeah.
And hotter and hotter until you know, if you actually got to the sun eventually, the rocket would probably burst into a pile of flames.
Well, you would only get, you wouldn't get anywhere near close to the sun, but
I'm just saying it would get, you know, I don't know how far it would take, how near you can get to the sun before the rocket,
before everything just melts away.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but like if you go further away from our sun, further and further away, you can imagine.
Yes.
Well, you know, like we got Earth.
Of course.
And then the next one is Mars.
Yeah.
And if you go to Mars, that's colder.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not actually 100% because that's got no atmosphere around it to cool it down. You see, so it might be warmer a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not a scientist.
Well, they have said that they found water on Mars before. So that's interesting.
Well, I believe that it could have been closer a few million years ago. Yeah. And our Earth could have been closer, and it could have been warmer to the. I reckon planets slowly come from the sun. They're kind of born from the sun.
From the sun.
Like a big explosion of.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
But they are essentially.
Yeah, like a big explosion from the sun.
Yeah.
That happens now and again. And it's like giving birth to a new planet. And sometimes these balls, they're big, sometimes they're small. And I think basically most planets got the same materials in them, but they're a bit mixed up. And some materials got like for instance, I think like one planet's got more iron in it. For instance, you know, I can't remember which one it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like they got the same materials in, but they're a bit. You know, they got more than others, and some might not have no gold at all.
Yeah.
So on, whatever. I think planets are kind of like the same, but I just feel like Mars could have had its turn millions of years back, but now it's dried up and gone that way, you know, further and further away. Because I feel like we're spinning around the sun.
Yeah.
Each planet, and we're slowly moving away, slowly, a little bit. It's like, do you know, like apparently. Do you know we've got the equators pushing against each other? Is that right? Like, you know, like underneath the ocean you got, I can't remember what you call it, the crust, they move towards each other.
Okay.
The moving plates, that's what
the tectonic plates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how fast they move. So you got one moving that way and one moving that way, say, and sometimes they move apart from each other. Right? But they grow, they don't grow, sorry, they move as fast as your fingernail grows.
Ah, okay.
Each side, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I think like every few weeks I've got to cut my fingernails maybe, you know. So, but that's how fast it's, you know, they're moving. And it's like, you know, like slow moving rock moving that fast, slowly, or separating. It's so like America's getting further away from Africa slowly.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah.
But it's only a finger now.
Yeah.
Each, you know, you can imagine how slow it is.
Yeah.
It's moving that fast, apparently. That's interesting, isn't it? Anyway.
Land masses are separating from each other and stuff like this.
It's all interesting stuff, and I think that, you know, we just rely on a beautiful planet, and we've got it.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to have a planet like this. Like, I wouldn't want to live on a different planet. I can't imagine a better planet.
It's like we all have, generally speaking, most people have good lives, you know. Might not be perfect, people might not have as much money as they would like, people might not be as happy or whatever. But the reality is that life is not that bad, is it, mate? You know, all things considered, when you sit down and talk about it and break it down like we do, you know, you realise that, you know, it's just, there's not too much to be really unhappy about, really. You know, it's all a bit of a miracle, you know, the fact that we were alive and just able to enjoy our lives. And
that's it.
You know,
it's like, I mean, it's like my brother, he's a couple of years older than me, and he lives on the Isle of Wight, and he worked for Royal Mail, being a postman, and he slipped up on some ice just around Christmas time, and broke his leg. And he had to have pins in his legs and all this sort of stuff, and it really messed him up, you know, and he couldn't do his job anymore. You know, we rely on our legs, don't we? Yeah. And it's like my brother's not so happy as he used to be because he can't dance. He can't keep up, you know, he can't do things as fast as he can, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a bit restricted.
And we do really rely on our legs, we rely on our arms, you know. There's no good if you woke up and your arms were missing, if you woke up or something, or your nose was missing, you know what I mean?
Your eyes,
if your ears fell off, if you woke up in the morning your ears dropped off, or something, you know?
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, sort of like when you do something, or say you were born with one eye, life is not so enjoyable as having two eyes, or you know, no eyes. You know, I just feel like if you got eyes, you're blessed.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I mean, I feel like I'm quite lucky because I feel quite healthy actually. I'm not in pain or anything like some people. I've never had any back pains. I mean, I do now and again, okay, but it's only for a couple of days maybe at the most, or a neck ache or something.
Temporary.
Or I've had a couple of toothaches in my life, and that hasn't been very nice, you know. But all in all, I've had most of my days, I've never had headaches, really, okay. And I just feel like a pretty healthy person in a funny way. And that's something to be happy about, you know, to feel strong and fit. I mean, I'm not the fittest person in the world, okay? I could sort of take it up again jogging. You know, I've done it for a while, you know. I used to do weight training, all this kind of stuff, you know, take fitness pretty seriously. And like I said, I've done removals most of my life, and today I feel, because I've worked so hard, I'm strong today.
Yeah.
And I can chill out a little bit, you see, and relax, because, you know, I don't have to, I will have to soon if I can't, you know, you can't chill out too long, you know, you've got to make yourself strong, I feel, you know. That's another thing you've got to do in life, I just feel, aim for, to try to make yourself stronger the next day somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.